My name's Ethan Stone. I'm 42, and I worked as a project manager at an engineering firm in Boston. For 15 years, I built a solid career coordinating infrastructure projects worth millions of dollars. I've always been the type of person who solves problems quietly, who keeps everything running behind the scenes. At home, the situation was very different. My marriage to Olivia had been falling apart for years. We tried to have children for almost a decade. Fertility clinics, expensive treatments, hopes that turned into monthly disappointments. Health insurance only covered part of the procedures, and I paid the rest out of my own pocket. Little by little, each negative test created another barrier between us. If you like stories of cold revenge and gripping plot twists, subscribe to the channel now. There are 2 new unreleased stories here every day, and each one is more impactful than the last. Olivia shut down emotionally. I became responsible for everything. The house mortgage, bills, maintenance, groceries. It was as if I were invisible, just a silent provider. She barely looked me in the eye during dinner. Conversations were limited to practical matters. Did you pay the electric bill? Or, I need money for groceries. The situation dramatically worsened when her sister, Chloe, showed up at our door, newly separated, with 2 small children and no money. It's just for a few days, Olivia said. She needs to get organized. A few days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. Chloe was 40 and had the most toxic personality I've ever encountered. Invasive, disrespectful, always with sarcastic comments. She treated my house as if it were her own. She let the kids make a mess, didn't help with expenses, occupied my home office. I started sleeping on the living room couch because she set up her kids in the guest bedroom. Ethan, you don't mind, do you? Olivia asked when I tried to talk about the situation. She just needs some time to get herself together. I minded, yes, a lot. But every time I tried to bring it up, it turned into an argument. Olivia always defended her sister. You don't understand what she's going through, she'd say. A divorce is traumatic. And our marriage falling apart wasn't traumatic. My own home became a silent battlefield. Chloe made jokes about everything. My profession, my age, even our difficulty having children. At least I managed to get pregnant, she once commented during dinner. Olivia laughed. I pretended not to hear. The last straw came on a Friday in May. I arrived home after a heavy day at work. We had faced a structural problem on a bridge I was coordinating, and I spent 10 hours resolving technical issues with suppliers and engineers. I found the backyard full of cars. Loud music, barbecue grill lit, people I didn't even know drinking beer at my garden table. It was a party at my house, and no one had told me. I took a deep breath and walked in through the back door, pretending it was normal. I greeted some of Olivia's relatives, grabbed a beer, and tried to blend in. Until Chloe, already visibly intoxicated, climbed onto a chair and yelled for everyone to hear. Folks, did you know that if Ethan disappeared today, no one here would even notice? Laughter all around. Applause. Some toasted to the joke. Olivia was laughing too. I didn't laugh. I stood there, beer in hand, looking at those people celebrating my irrelevance. In that moment, I had absolute clarity. I had already disappeared inside a long time ago. Now it was time to disappear for real. I didn't feel anger. I felt a cold, calculated determination. Like when I need to solve an engineering problem, identify the problem, analyze the variables, execute the solution. The problem was clear. I was seen as disposable in my own home. The solution was also clear. Prove them right and wrong at the same time. The following Monday, I began to execute my plan. 15 years of managing projects taught me one thing. The success is in the details and meticulous planning. Every move needed to be calculated. Every variable considered. First, I opened a checking account at a Bank of America branch on the other side of town. I discreetly transferred $15,000, money I had saved over the years for emergencies. Technically, it was my money. I earned $80,000 a year. Olivia worked part-time at a clothing store earning maybe $20,000. I paid practically all the house bills. I started researching properties to rent. I wanted something far from Boston, a place where I could disappear completely. I found an isolated cabin in the mountains of Vermont, 2 hours away, $500 a month, furnished, with broadband internet, perfect for remote work. Over the next few weeks, I organized all my documentation: birth certificate, passport, diploma, professional certifications, bank statements from the last 5 years. Everything was digitized and stored in the cloud. I also made physical copies and left them in a safe deposit box at the bank. My boss, Michael, always praised my ability to work independently. "Ethan, you're the most self-sufficient manager I've ever had," he said in a meeting. "You can coordinate entire teams without having to be in the office all the time." This gave me an idea. I proposed a remote work pilot project for our company. "With current technology, I can manage construction sites from anywhere with internet," I argued. "Video calls with teams, remote access to CAD systems, real-time reports." Michael approved the test for 3 months. Unbeknownst to him, he was giving me the key to my escape. Meanwhile, at home, the situation only got worse. Chloe had permanently moved in. She turned my office into a kind of playground for her kids. My plants were thrown out because they took up too much space. She even painted a wall without consulting me. "It's cheerier, don't you think?" she said to Olivia, admiring the shock pink wall. "I love it," my wife replied. "Should have done this years ago." I worked 12 hours a day to support that house, and they modified it as if I didn't exist. I started documenting everything discreetly. I photographed the mess, saved conversations where they talked about renovations I'd be paying for, recorded some of Chloe's most disrespectful comments on my phone. It wasn't for use in court, just to maintain my sanity and remember I wasn't crazy. One night I found Olivia and Chloe in the kitchen discussing a trip they were planning to Cape Cod. "We can use the joint credit card," Olivia said. "Ethan never complains about those things." "He's really too laid back," Chloe commented. "Like a piece of furniture in the house. He's there, but no one really notices." They laughed. I was standing at the kitchen entrance coming back from the gym. They didn't even see me. I went up to the bedroom, or rather to the living room couch, which had become my bed, and made a final decision. The following week, I contacted a divorce lawyer in Springfield, Massachusetts, Jennifer Walsh, a specialist in uncontested marital dissolution. I explained my situation. 15 years of marriage, no children, assets divided 50-50, she said during our consultation. "If there's no contestation, we can settle this in 60 days. It'll cost about $2,000. "What if I just leave and mail the papers?" I asked. "Technically, you can do that, but it's better to try an amicable agreement first." I asked her to prepare the divorce documents. Equal division of assets, no alimony from either side, each goes their own way. Simple and clean. While waiting for the papers to be ready, I made my final preparations. I discreetly canceled my participation in joint credit cards. I changed my bank mailing address to a P.O. box. I set up professional email forwarding. My last day at home was a Thursday. Olivia and Chloe had gone shopping with my credit card, which would be automatically canceled on Friday. I packed 2 suitcases with essential clothes, work equipment, and important documents. I left the already signed divorce papers in a sealed envelope on the kitchen table. Inside, a note with just 3 words. "Did you notice?" I took my keys, looked one last time at that house that was no longer mine, and walked out the front door. Direction: Vermont. New life. Peace. The cabin in Vermont was exactly what I needed. Isolated, functional, with an incredible view of the Green Mountains. In the first few days, I felt something I hadn't experienced in years. Silence. True silence. No sarcastic jokes, no destructive comments, no constant feeling of being invisible in my own life. I set up my home office at a solid wood desk facing the window. The internet worked perfectly. Within 48 hours, I was back to work as usual, coordinating projects as if nothing had changed. In fact, my productivity increased. Without domestic distractions, I could focus completely on work. Michael called in the first week. "Ethan, how's the remote work pilot project going?" "Better than expected," I replied. "I managed to finalize the Cambridge Bridge report 3 days ahead of schedule. and I've already started the preliminary survey for the Connecticut project. Excellent. Sounds like you found your element working remotely. If only he knew how true that was. During the first 15 days, I heard nothing from home. Not a call, not a message. Part of me was genuinely curious how long it would take for them to realize I wasn't just traveling for work or visiting a client. The answer came on a Tuesday. My phone rang at 7 in the morning. Olivia. Ethan, where are you? Her voice sounded tense, worried. Why? I asked calmly. What do you mean, why? You disappeared. You left some strange papers on the table and vanished. Divorce papers, I corrected. And it took you 16 days to notice I wasn't home. Interesting. Silence on the other end of the line. This is ridiculous, Ethan. You can't just leave like that. Yes, I can, and I did. But the bills, the mortgage is due next week. The credit card was canceled. How am I going to pay for things? Now we were getting to the crucial point. For 15 years, I was the invisible financial pillar. They never worried about the household budget because I took care of everything automatically. Automatic debits for the mortgage, electricity, water, gas, internet, cable TV, car insurance, health insurance. Everything came out of my account. Olivia, I said, maintaining my serene tone. You've worked at the same store for 8 years. You should have some idea of how bills and financial responsibilities work. But I don't earn enough to pay for everything myself. Then perhaps it's time to rethink your priorities. And Chloe's too. I hung up the phone. In the following days, the calls intensified. Olivia, desperate. Chloe, furious. Even their relatives started reaching out to me. I didn't answer any calls. Through a mutual friend, I learned the situation was chaotic. Chloe had to move out because Olivia couldn't support her anymore. The electricity bill was cut off for non-payment. Olivia was working 2 jobs, mornings at the clothing store, nights as a waitress at a restaurant in Cambridge. Part of me felt bad for her. But the larger part remembered years of disrespect, of being treated like a piece of furniture, of being publicly humiliated while my wife laughed. After 6 weeks of total silence, I decided to check my old emails. I found 43 messages from Olivia. The first ones were furious, accusatory. You're selfish. This is abandonment. I'm going to sue you. But as the weeks passed, the tone changed drastically. Ethan, please call me. We need to talk like adults. I understand you were upset, but this has gone too far. Chloe left. You were right about her. Please come home. I've lost 12 pounds. I can't sleep. I can't eat. The house is a mess without you. Ethan, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for everything. For the comments, for the indifference, for letting my sister disrespect you. I didn't realize how much you did for us. The last message had arrived 3 days prior. I know you'll probably never forgive me. I know I messed everything up. But I want you to know that I finally understood what I lost. You were the best man in my life, and I let my pain and frustration destroy it. If you ever want to talk, I'll be here. I love you, Ethan. I always have. I just didn't know how to show it when it mattered. I closed the laptop and walked to the cabin's porch. The sunset painted the mountains orange and purple. For the first time in decades, I felt completely at peace with myself. 2 weeks later, Olivia appeared at my door. I don't know how she found me. She probably hired a private detective or managed to track my address through the bank. She was thin, with deep, dark circles under her eyes, her hair disheveled. She looked like an aged version of herself. Can I come in? She asked, trying to control her tears. I hesitated for a moment, then opened the door. She sat on the living room couch looking around. It's beautiful here. It looks peaceful. It is. Ethan, I came to ask for forgiveness. Truly. Not to try and convince you to come back, but because you deserve to hear it. I sat in the armchair opposite her, waiting. I was a terrible wife, a terrible person. I let our pain with infertility turn me into someone bitter, cold. And when Chloe arrived, instead of protecting our marriage, I let her destroy everything. Tears began to stream down her face. You tried to talk to me so many times, and I always turned it against you. Treated you as if you were the problem, when in fact you were the only thing that worked in my life." She paused, wiping her face with her hands. "I never signed the divorce papers. They're still on the kitchen table, exactly where you left them. I know it's selfish of me, but a part of me still hoped you'd come back." I looked at the woman who had shared 15 years of my life. I felt pity for her, but I didn't feel the urge to save her again. I remained silent for a few minutes, watching Olivia cry on my couch. Part of me felt compassion for her. 15 years of history don't disappear overnight, but the more rational part, the part that had been humiliated and disrespected for so long, remained firm. "Olivia," I finally said, "I heard you and I accept your apology." Her eyes lit up for an instant. "But it doesn't change anything," I continued. "I'm not coming back." "Why? I can change. We can start over." "You can change, yes. And I sincerely hope you do. But not with me. I've changed too. And I've found that I like the person I've become when I don't have to diminish myself to keep someone by my side." I explained to her how the past few months had been revealing. Working remotely, I managed not only to maintain my productivity but to surpass it. Michael had offered me a promotion to regional supervisor with an annual raise of $20,000. I was finally being valued professionally the way I deserved. "And there's one more thing," I said, hesitating for a moment. "I met someone." Olivia's face contorted as if she'd been punched. "Sarah. She lives here in Vermont, works as a veterinarian in the neighboring town. We met at the local coffee shop 6 weeks ago." I didn't tell Olivia all the details, but Sarah was everything I had forgotten existed. Kind, funny, interested in what I did. When I explained my engineering projects, she genuinely paid attention, asked intelligent questions. She treated me with genuine respect. She wants to start a family," I continued. "We've already talked about adoption. Sarah can't have children biologically, but unlike us, she sees it as an opportunity to give love to a child who needs it." Olivia completely broke down. "Ethan, please. I can be that person for you too. I can change." "Olivia, you had 15 years to be that person. When I tried to talk about adoption, you always said it wasn't the same thing. When I suggested couples therapy, you said we didn't need strangers meddling in our lives. When I just asked to be treated with basic respect in my own home, you laughed along with your sister." I stood up and walked to the window. You know what moment defined everything for me? It wasn't even Chloe's joke about no one noticing if I disappeared. It was you laughing along. My own wife, who should have been my partner, my defender, laughed at the idea that I was disposable. "I was drunk. I didn't think about what I was doing." "Alcohol doesn't create feelings, Olivia. It just removes the filters. In that moment, you showed what you truly thought of me." She was silent for a few minutes, absorbing my words. "What do I need to do for you to forgive me?" she asked in a low voice. "You don't need my forgiveness to move on with your life, and I don't need to forgive you to move on with mine." I turned back to her. "But if you really want an answer, learn to value people while they're by your side. Learn that love isn't just about feeling, but showing through actions. And most importantly, learn that some things once broken cannot be fixed, only replaced." Olivia remained in the cabin for another hour. We discussed practical details of the divorce. She finally agreed to sign the papers. The house would be sold, profits split 50-50. She'd keep her car, I'd keep mine. A clean separation, no legal grudges. Before leaving, she paused at the door. "I hope you're happy, Ethan. Truly. You deserve someone who values you. Thank you. And I hope you learn to value yourself too. You're not a bad person, Olivia. You just lost your way." After she left, I called Sarah. I told her about the visit, about the conversation, about the sense of closure I finally felt. "How do you feel?" Sarah asked. "Free," I replied without hesitation. For the first time in years, completely free. 6 months later, Sarah and I got married in a simple ceremony on the mountain, overlooking the valley. Only close family and a few friends. My brother Michael came from Boston with his wife. My parents came from Connecticut. It was the wedding I always wanted, Intimate, genuine, surrounded by people who truly loved us. A year after the wedding, we adopted Emma, a 5-year-old girl who had been through 3 temporary foster families. On her first day home, she asked me, "Are you going to send me away if I do something wrong?" "Never," I replied, kneeling down to her eye level. "This is your home forever. We are your family forever." She smiled, the first genuine smile we saw from her. Today, 3 years later, I have the family I always dreamed of. Sarah and I work as a real team. We share responsibilities, support each other, respect each other. Emma is thriving in school, takes piano lessons, and helps me with small woodworking projects on weekends. I learned from mutual friends that Olivia rebuilt her life. She went back to college, took a business administration course, and now manages a small boutique in Cambridge. Apparently, she's dating a history professor, a kind man who treats her well. I'm genuinely happy for her. Chloe, on the other hand, continued to be Chloe. According to the latest information, she's on her 3rd marriage and still creating drama wherever she goes. Some people never learn. The lesson I learned from all this is simple yet powerful. Not all battles need to be won with confrontation. Sometimes, the most complete victory is simply refusing to participate in the game. Sometimes, absence communicates more than any argument. I discovered that there are things that are only valued when they're gone. And that true love isn't sacrificing yourself until you disappear, but finding someone who sees you, respects you, and values you exactly as you are. Ethan Stone disappeared that Thursday in May. But the man who emerged from the Vermont mountains was someone much better, respected, valued, and finally happy. If you liked this story, like it, share it, and leave your comment telling me what you thought. And if you're not subscribed to the channel yet, please subscribe and hit the bell icon to receive notifications of new stories like this. Thanks for watching, and until next time.